Thank you for joining the Resilient Cyber Show. My name is Chris Hughes, and today I'm joined by Gianna Whitver and Maria Velasquez. Gianna, Maria, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Chris. We are
Yeah,
so excited to be on your show.
Yeah,
yeah,
we've definitely been so excited.
I'm excited to chat with you both. Like I've been following your guys' event, and kind of the groundswell of like support you've been building in the industry around this topic. But for folks that don't know you, aren't familiar with like Cyber Marketing Con, can you tell us a bit about yourselves and the event, the organization?
Sure. I'll start with the event. So, Cyber Marketing Con is the biggest, baddest, and best conference for go to market in cybersecurity. So, for anyone who's involved in selling or marketing security products or services, solutions, it is a 4-day conference filled with education, hands on workshops, amazing networking, and also a lot of fun. We definitely weave a lot of, I think, community and entertainment into the conference, but you also leave having a plan and a strategy for next year. Like it's very, very, very actionable of a conference. And a lot of our attendees who come say it's the most relevant and the best conference they've ever been to. So that's our bar. And it is produced by the Cybersecurity Marketing Society. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO. Me and Maria started this community in 2020 because we saw a need in the market for marketers to have an ISAC for marketers to have community and to be able to basically talk with each other, share intelligence, and help each other with our careers. And I'll let Maria also introduce herself.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, her co-founder already did that. But I'll just add, I mean, we found a need in the market, but we found a need in ourselves. We were
Yeah.
both marketers at cybersecurity startups. I think at the time we were probably the only ones in the marketing team, right? Turning the lights on everything and not only creating the strategy, but jumping in the back end and building infrastructure for marketing to run smoothly. And just so not having the kind of resource for us for this particular industry, as niche as it is, as complex as it is, as intimidating as it is, it's beyond the usual B2B tech resources and communities that you find out there. This everybody that's in the community gets it. They get each other. They get what we all go through on a daily basis, from challenges to wins to everything in between. So it's very different and hits different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually kind of surprising to me because I feel like, I know we'll get into this in a moment, but so much of the ecosystem in cybersecurity, for all the talk about, technical topics, zero trust, DevSecOps, software supply chain, like whatever buzzwords you want to throw out there, so much of it does revolve around marketing and sales. And it's surprising that there wasn't kind of like something like this, in place already. And I feel like it can be intimidating if you're coming from a cybersecurity or non-technical background going into marketing and sales. Like, it's a lot to learn. Like, what are the terms? How do I even approach these folks to try to sell to them? Like, how do you all typically, kind of guide folks to this,
It
either from a
is.
tech background or non-tech background?
Yeah, and that is like Maria was saying, we built it for us. That was my story. It was I joined the industry after working in commercial real estate, which is like very different. I had some tech, right? I worked at IBM in the day. We dealt with servers and middleware and stuff like that, right? So tech. But cyber was completely different. Everybody was using acronyms. Like every other word was an acronym that I did like no idea what was going on in any meeting. I was like secretly typing and like Googling stuff while everyone was talking. And then a lot of folks were just like grumpy, rightfully so, because they're defending like companies and people from attacks. So the industry itself had a lot of problems with marketing and sales. And coming from a non-security background, I had to learn that, and it was like quite a long time for me to catch up on that learning curve.
How about you, Maria? Like, what are your, kind of thoughts on when you speak to someone who's new to this industry, coming into a marketing or sales role, either if they come from a tech background or not? Like, it's like he said, every other word's an acronym. People tend to be very standoffish, kind of skeptical of marketing and sales people. Like, how do you kind of guide someone to kind of get going?
I say find a best friend internally. If you're at a company that has subject matter experts that are working full time for the company, right? Sometimes you find that maybe it's in the engineering team, maybe it's in the product team, but find that best friend and go to lunch all the time, have coffee, or if you're working remote, get on a Zoom call once a week and just talk. It doesn't have to be about work or the product or technical things. Just getting to know them as a person can give you so much insight about how to message, how to create a tagline for an ad, because you do want to connect with the human before you tell them that your product is the best in the industry. You got to hit that emotion. And the only way you can actually learn the emotional intelligence of your ICP is to talk to them regularly.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say, oh, sorry, Chris.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say some things we also tell our new community members new to cyber, like Maria said, like become friends with someone who is in security and learn about security. We recommend that they get their hands on the demo environment of the solution if the company lets them. Some marketers aren't allowed to touch it or learn it, so, and that's a shame. I think every marketer should know how to give a demo, honestly, of a security solution. And getting smart on the industry. We recommend that they follow cybersecurity news. They follow the same stuff that people who would be using your product would follow so that you can learn and get better. It's not like you're going to become a pen tester yourself or or a network security admin or anything like that. But hey, as the more you know about the industry, the more valuable you are. And the more your messaging won't be, like you were saying, Chris, earlier, annoying, or folks will become less skeptical because you're actually talking to them.
Yeah, I think those are all sound advice. Like when I look at the industry and see folks who are doing great jobs, at least from my perspective in terms of marketing and sales, they are educating themselves on the domain. Like they're not maybe a practitioner or an expert in, like some of their peers who are hands-on and such, but they at least are constantly reading, like you said, latest attacks, latest news, latest innovations, latest technology, kind of trends or waves, things like that. You're making an effort to kind of learn the lingo of the ecosystem, what these terms even mean, like what do people care about, reading the latest, research reports and so on. But for all those good things that people can and should be doing, marketing in cyber does get a bit of a bad rap. I've seen many posts from CISOs and security leaders like, "Hey, don't message me with X, Y, and Z," or whatever. Right? They tend to, they get very frustrated with marketers. And like, I'm curious if it's poor sales tactics, poor like communication styles. Like, what do you all see? Like you talked about some of the good things. What are some of the things that you see people get wrong, or that does give marketing in cyber a bit of a bad name? Whether it's one thing I think of right away is like ambulance chasing. Like there's an incident,
Yes.
right, of some sort, and you follow up immediately, like, hey, our product can do X, Y, and Z, and like we would have stopped this. And it's like that. Sometimes that can be off-putting. Like, what are some of the things that you guys see that people do that you're like, ooh, that's not the best approach?
Yeah, I think, and I'll jump in first. I think sometimes in our messaging we oversimplify what or overstate what the product can do, and then oversimplify how easy it is to implement and that time to value and all these buzzwords. And what that does is, first of all, you're no longer credible, because if it's not true that your product is easily implementable, then you kind of like lose that trust. But also, I think a lot of times we don't respect their time and their intelligence, not just from a marketing perspective, but also sales tactics, like you mentioned, right? We probably send them too many emails in their inbox, and they have these rules that are sending those emails to a folder they never open. Or, we're calling them on the weekend, or we're calling them on their cell phone, and they're already overworked, and they are on a 24-hour kind of cycle of thinking about work and incidents and potential risky alerts. There is that work-life balance too that we need to take into consideration, and so not respecting their time and their intelligence is probably, to me, like the biggest crime.
Yeah, I'll say it's the, you said it even too, Chris, buzzwords being, something that makes marketers have a bad rap when they're using zero trust improperly, when they're using, well, this is the new one, I think, is AI. Everything is AI. Everything's
Yeah.
AI enabled, or is an AI native, or is an agentic, or has an MCP, or there's like a whole new world of acronyms we're all going to have to learn very soon if we haven't already. So I think that the messaging is usually where marketing and sometimes sales also fails. It's saying, like Maria said, too high level, too fluffy. Like, you don't respect what my intelligence, because you're just saying like, we stop threats or whatever. And it's like, obviously, what does that mean? That means nothing. Like, how do you do it? You could do it like 7,000 ways. And also, do you really stop threats, or are you doing something else and just saying you stop threats because the company doesn't understand how to message correctly?
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, I want to flip the paradigm a little bit too, and not beat up on the marketers. But when I look
Yeah.
at practitioners on the cyber side of things, like for all of our focus on zero trust and software supply chain, and all the acronyms and buzzwords we just threw out in the technical topics, if you've been in the trenches doing this work, often it comes down to people, communications, empathy, building relationships, building rapport. We are not good at that in a lot of cases. Someone are incredibly technical, but you put them in a room with people and they like clam up and they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to interact with people. Like, what could practitioners learn from our marketing peers to be more effective in our own role?
Oh, that's a good one. I think so for practitioners, I think you could do the same thing. Think about the audience that you're talking to. So marketers think about our audience, right? We're marketing to security practitioners. That means we're going to try to talk to you in a way where it's not just like whatever sort of how we would talk to non-security practitioners. So if a security person is speaking to an audience and they know the audience is not technical, like notch that stuff down a lot. You have to do the explain like on 5 level. And that could help a lot with people being able to understand what you're saying. Another thing is if you're talking to a person in person, you could see on their face, like if they lean in or if they do anything like that, usually that means they're kind of interested in what you're saying and you could keep going. But if it's blank stares, you can even pop in and be like, hey, like, is what I'm saying making sense, especially in a business setting, Maria?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, step outside of your box. I mean, I know a lot of cybersecurity practitioners will get involved with small local regional meetups that are security focused, right? And that's how we're seeing kind of like those communities pop up everywhere, B-sides and similar ones. But step outside of that box even. So go to an event that has nothing to do with security and just talk and mingle and meet new people. And who knows, maybe you'll meet another cybersecurity practitioner that's also interested in that particular topic. And now you have two things in common and you can kind of like support each other in discovering this new world. I think that could help.
Yeah, one thing I like about the recommendation of stepping out of our own community is like you go to these events like B-Sides and Black Hat and RSA, and like you're talking about these topics. You're like, yeah, everyone gets it. Like, of course, everyone knows you should be doing X, Y, and Z. And then you go like interact with like the engineering community, development community, like the business community, and you're like, they're not thinking or talking about anything that we are, and they don't think half the things that we think are important they're not even aware of, let alone focused on. And so I think that's super important in trying to communicate what it is we do and how we do it to people who don't come from our background, which is what you're going to be doing in the business. Like on a day-to-day basis, you got to interact with your C-suite peers, the business leaders, the executives, the development team, et cetera. That could be a challenge, and I think going to events outside of your industry can help with that too. I wanted to bring us full circle. Like you have the event. When is the next event? What can folks keep an eye out for? Like where can they learn more? If they want to attend, what should they keep an eye out for this year? What's going to be going on?
Oh, our event this year, I talked about it. I didn't even say when or where. So it's December 7th through 10th in Austin, Texas this year. And if you can't make it to Austin, Texas, we also have a live stream version of the event. And if you're in another time zone and live stream is middle of the night for you, the ticket also comes with replays. So we have all sorts of options for folks to attend. We try really hard to be accessible to the community, our members. And in the Cybersecurity Marketing Society, we have about 4,000 members from 1,600 companies. So they're all over the world, and we know that Austin, Texas might not fit for all of them, but if they can make it, it's going to be a fabulous event. It's going to have workshops. I'm really excited about an N8N agent building workshop that we're hosting on Sunday. We're also hosting, just tying the two sides together, marketing and security. We're hosting Marketers First Reverse Shell. Which is going to be run. It's a workshop. It's a CTF that's going to be run by the founder of New Village. And forgive me, I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but he is on Sunday. So if you go to our website and you go to the agenda, he's right there at the top. And then we'll have sessions by people like Don Jeter, who is keynoting. He's the CMO of Torque, which is the one with the big monster truck. That's fun. We'll have a CEO and founder track. So we'll be bringing investors and founders together to talk about go-to-market from that founder perspective. And I'm just overall super excited about all of the content. It hits literally every aspect of go-to-market. So we have a sales track, we have field marketing, product marketing, anything you could think of.
How about you, Maria? Anything in particular you're psyched about this year?
Yeah, we should also mention our fun theme this year.
Oh, I forgot.
Last year our theme was marketing Wonderland. So to play on Alice in Wonderland and going through all kinds of crazy, whimsical worlds as a marketer, lots of ups and downs. This year it's marketing time machine, and so we're embracing the fundamentals of marketing that have worked for decades, but also nodding to the innovations and the future of what AI is going to do to our industry and how it's going to help marketers. So we're tying those two time listings together into 3 days. So we're super excited about kind of like a what our partners on in the exhibit hall are gonna do to kind of tie their activations around the theme, and then also all the sessions as well.
Yeah, it sounds like an awesome event. I haven't been in the past, but I'll say I'm definitely, looking at my schedule and seeing, can I make it this year? Because I haven't been before, and it always looks like an awesome event. So many people I know from the industry are going and sharing how much fun they had. Something you said there that made me want to ask a question too. We've talked a lot about marketing practitioners as individuals, but like thinking back to the organization as a whole, like different teams out there, different vendors. You talked about founders, startups, investors. Like, how important is marketing in this space? Because there are teams that have an incredible product, but they don't tell a good story, or they don't build like a brand that people know and kind of feel connected to. And like, I don't want to drop certain vendors' names, but like immediately I think of like a Wiz, like someone who's just, they're really good at it. They have amazing research. People love the brand. It's flashy, it's catchy, it's fun. Like, how important is that for a company, regardless of how great your product is, but just having that brand, having that marketing approach that people resonate with?
Totally. I would say a lot of puzzle pieces have to come together, almost like all stars align, in order to have a Wiz or a Torg or any of the unicorns that we all aspire to work at. I think the product has to be amazing, right? It has to really, really, really be amazing out there. You have to have an amazing visionary founder that believes in marketing and the power of brand. And then an awesome marketing team that's not afraid to experiment and try crazy ideas and fall down and get back up fast. And I think those three together can make a company unstoppable. I think it's marketing is definitely the hill where brands either die or thrive and get to the summit.
Yeah, I'll add too. I think that I was trying to find, someone asked me yesterday, like, how many security companies are out there? And I looked up and I found some stats. One said 3,200, one said 3,500, one said almost 4,000. That's a lot of competition out there. And you could have the best product in the world, but if you're not marketing and telling people and like being proactive and getting it in front of folks, I mean, it's very hard to beat, you know, even a subset of that number in
Yeah,
this
no,
very competitive space.
yeah, it's a super valid point. Like, we look at AI or agents or some of the kind of the latest trends that you talked about. Like, it's a saturated space. Like, just look at the AI SOC space. Like, there's like 10 companies at least going after that space. Like, how are you going to differentiate yourself? Of course, there's like your product and your capability, but like your brand, your marketing, your message, like how you connect with folks. I think that's all going to be super important for folks to kind of stand out and have people remember them and think about them and have that kind of spread organically among the community too. So yeah, I think you're spot on, both of you all. And like I said, I'm looking to try and make it to the event myself. I'm glad to know you have a stream. So again, that's December this year in Austin, Texas. It'll also be online, also supports replays. So check it out, cybermarketingconference.com. And Gianna, Maria, thank you so much for jumping on with me today.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Chris.
having us. This was so much fun.
Absolutely. Take care.